episode number 28 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and today is February the 7th. No, it is not. It is March 7th and it's a Monday. So I'm super happy to be recording today. I don't know, I've missed you guys this week. I know I recorded last week, but I think I wasn't really happy with what I recorded, and then I spent a lot more time this week thinking about what I'd want to record and what I want to tell you guys, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be talking to you today. So this is a podcast about knitting and spinning and sometimes sewing, and always about my addiction to yarn. So if you haven't watched me before, then thank you so much for giving me a try. I hope you like it, and I hope that you'll become a regular viewer. And if you are coming back, I'm just so grateful because I feel like I never thank you guys enough for coming back every week and watching and being in touch with me, commenting and participating in the group. I am just beyond grateful about that, and I feel like a lot of you guys I don't know because, like with podcasters, I mention them all the time, and I feel like I know them because, yeah, you just get this feeling when you watch someone. But with you guys, I don't really know you guys that much. So I don't really talk about you that much. I'm not sure if that's making any sense, but I am just so thankful and glad that you're here with me today. So I have a finished object, I have works in progress. I want to talk about knit-alongs. Ta-da! I should really put in sound effects here. I have some sewing, some spinning, a question, some acquisitions, a coupon code, and life in general. So you can decide to tune out whenever you want. I don't really care. If you're only here for the knitting, that's totally fine. And I feel like I'm rushing this. First of all, today I'm not drinking tea, I'm drinking breakfast. So I stayed up really late last night because my boyfriend wasn't here and I was bored and I was reading Harry Potter, about which I'll talk more later. Anyway, so I went to bed really late. And this morning I woke up at 9:30, which is a bit embarrassing to admit, and I was still lying in bed and being super tired, so now it's even later than that. I should really be working. So anyways, to save time and to jump right into this podcast because I'm really excited about it, I decided I will make myself a banana smoothie, and that way I can have breakfast while I talk to you. But it might make weird slapping noises. I'm sorry about that in advance. So I just threw in banana and some soy milk and made myself a smoothie. So, admittedly, I have tried to record this before, so now my stuff is a little bit all over the place. Finished object. No, hang on. Go back. Housekeeping. First of all, I wanted to let you guys know that I will be recording a normal episode next week. Most likely on the Monday, maybe on the Sunday, not sure. But then the week after, I will change my schedule to I don't know what, because my next and last wisdom tooth is coming out. So then I will just have to see how I feel and record whenever I can. So yeah, next week will be a normal episode and then things might change slightly. But I love you guys, so I don't think I will manage to stay away from you very long anyways. So, also, a very lovely viewer last week asked if I could maybe list the German yarn dyers that I talk about all the time. And that was a great idea because that way I don't have to copy and paste all the links every week in the show notes, but I have a separate Ravelry thread for German indie dyers, and that is yarn and fiber. So if you want to check those out, I have all the links there. And then in the show notes, I will still, of course, write down the names, but then you have a more comprehensive list in the other thread. And I thought long and hard about what to include because obviously there are a lot more German yarn dyers than the ones that I've tried, and there are a few that I want to try. But in the end, I decided to only list the ones that I have used because they are the only ones that I feel comfortable recommending to you guys. And also, I feel like if I started to list some, I would probably miss some, and I don't want to leave anyone out. I also don't want to have a crazy amount of work, so I think that'll work, and I will just add to that list whenever I try new things. And if you guys have some recommendations, if you have tried gem and yarns that you really liked, yeah, share them. You can just post them in the thread as well. I feel like I'm out of breath for some reason. That just doesn't make sense. Anyways, that's it for housekeeping. Thank you for the suggestion. Finished object. And I am wearing it, and I'm just beyond thrilled to show this to you guys. So this is the secret test knit that I have been knitting on and not been able to show you, and I just love this shawl. And I feel really special, and so should you guys, because this pattern isn't even released yet. And Amanita, she graciously allowed me to show my finished shawl before it's even released. So this might be the first reveal, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm just so excited about this. So before I show it to you, this is a shawl pattern by Agata Makiewicz, who is called Amanita on Ravelry, and I will link to her shop. She is a very lovely viewer, and she is super supportive, and I just love her. And she asked me to test knit, and I have never test knit anything, but of course I wanted to, and I love shawls and I love lace, and well, you can imagine that I was quite happy about that, and I've been knitting on this shawl like crazy. So it is a triangular shawl which has a garter stitch part and then a lace part in 2 colors. And as you can see, it has some beautiful picot edges. So I just love this shawl. It was quite a lot of knitting, because as you can see, it is huge. I sent her the measurements, but I forgot. I think it's about 1.90 meters wide. No, it's more than that. I think it's over 2 meters wide. So it is very big. And the yarns that I've used was Isager, I'm not sure, Alpaca 2, which is their 50% Peruvian wool, 50% alpaca mix blend yarn, I guess. It's fingering weight yarn. And I used this light gray color and this grayish mauve-y pink, I guess. It's really hard to describe this color. And it's the first time that I've been using this yarn. It is quite rustic, it is hairy, it has a halo. I'm not sure if you can see that. So it's not your typical yarn, and I was undecided whether I liked it, but now I do really like it. And the alpaca content just makes it a little bit warmer, and it drapes really well, and it is definitely not scratchy. Because you would think it would be, but honestly it is super soft. The third yarn I used, you might have seen before, because that's from the Ashling shawl that I knitted and frogged because I made too many mistakes. And that is Mirasol Soca Legato in the plum colorway. And for these two, for some reason I can't find a colorway name, so I might have to look that up. If you guys are interested, just let me know. But I assume that they don't have that many colors that look the same or look too similar, so you might just find them anyways. So as you can see, this lace pattern is just absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed knitting it, honestly. It was different to the lace pattern that I've knit before in the way that it has knits and pulls. And I think it was knit lace on both sides. My memory is so bad. And then there's a different kind of lace pattern down here, which is also really beautiful. And I really enjoyed knitting those picots. So you might or might not know that I generally hate knitting picots. I like the look of them, but I don't like knitting them. But in this pattern, she has a different technique, or a new to me technique, because I always did picots by, doing the backwards cast on. And I didn't really like them, and it felt fiddly and took forever, and I don't know, the picots just never came out evenly. But with her technique, which I don't want to give away because obviously it's a paid pattern, it worked so well, and it was super fast, and I love picots now. So I think from now on, if I ever have a pattern with picots, I will just use her instructions because they were great. And I'm so glad because I thought about asking her if I could just not do the picots, and I'm just so glad that I did because they turned out beautifully. And you know, I have not woven in my ends. So yeah, I'm just really excited about this shawl and I can't wait to wear it. I should probably weave in the ends before I go out today, but I'm not planning to take this off for more than 5 minutes. Of course, I will let you know as soon as Agatha releases the shawl pattern, so if you're interested in that, you might just have to wait a little bit because she says she's quite busy, but I will definitely let you know because I think I love the shawl so much, I assume that most of you will love it as well. So, moving on to works in progress. I have 2 sock whips, and because I've been knitting on this shawl a lot, I haven't made that much progress, but I'm getting there. So the first socks that I'm knitting on are socks for M by Felt Fusion yarns on Etsy. And this is her sparkle base in the Fun That Isn't Funny colorway. And as you can see, it is a sparkle base. It has 400 meters per 100 grams. It isn't super sparkly, which I like. I'm not sure if you can even see the sparkles. There's definitely sparkle going on, but it's not so much in your face. And it's a plain vanilla sock. As you can see, I've made this much progress. I've actually made some more progress, but my gauge changed because I was knitting too loosely. So I thought whether I could live with that, but of course I can't because I am a little bit OCD with my socks. So I ripped back about an inch or an inch and a half and re-knitted. So these socks are essentially ready for the heels, but I've been meaning to put them in and then I feel like, oh, I just knit a few more rows just to make sure they're long enough. So that's why they don't have a heel yet. But yeah, I'm really enjoying them. They're 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles. And these needles are the Knit Pro Nova Fixed Circulars. And I have a bit of a needle dilemma going on, which you might realize later, but these ones I really love for their tips. I think they're great, they're light, they have sharp tips. But I think I broke one of the joints. Because you know how, especially with the 2 at a time socks, it's really important that you can slide over the joints really easily, and I think I pulled too hard once. And now one of the joints isn't perfect anymore, which means that it takes quite a bit longer. It's just a simple step to pull the yarn through, but every single row I have to, you know, fiddle a little bit to get it to pull through. So yeah, that's not perfect, but I still really like these needles. So yeah, I think that's it about that, and these socks are living in my Mina Mix bag, which I really like, and it's just perfect for socks. My other sock work in progress is living in the bag that I made last week, I think. It's a tiny bit bigger, but not by very much. And in here are my hand spun socks. So I hope you guys are not getting sick of seeing those yet, because I realize I'm not making that much progress. This is a yarn. It is a hand spun yarn which I spun from fiber from 400 fiber, from a merino nylon braid in the colorway Deep and Meaningful. And I didn't realize it was going to be this green, but I still really like it. And these are the socks. I'm again knitting them 2 at a time. I'm also knitting these on 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle. Even though this yarn is quite a bit finer, it is over 500 meters per 100 grams, I think. So that's why I originally cast on 68 stitches, but it turns out that this yarn is really stretchy. So with the 64 stitches, it fits me just fine. So last week I was where the stitch marker was, so I have made quite a bit of progress on that, considering I've been test knitting. And over the weekend I put in the fish lips kiss heel, and now I am knitting on the foot. So nothing really interesting to report here. I'm finding that knitting with handspun somehow makes my sock knitting a little bit slower. I think it's because I'm just more careful to not split the stitches, and because it's handspun, it is not as even as normal yarn. So I think that's why it's just taking me a little bit longer, and also of course because the yarn is a little bit finer. These needles are the Adi Premiums that I might have mentioned before, I'm not quite sure. These ones I quite like because for their join. They have a nice join and they work really well, but they are a little bit too blunt for me. I think these are the sock rockets in the States, but I'm not 100% sure. They have the golden cord here in Germany, and they're called Premiums, but I think Adi Turbos might be just the same, they just have a different color cord. But yeah, they're a little bit more, blunt. So I am thinking about getting a new pair of needles because I just want the perfect needles for my 2 at a time socks, but I can't find them. So I'm considering getting the Adi Lace needles in a sock size because I think that would work really well. Or I really didn't want to start getting higher needles because I know that I would love them. And I don't really want to invest that much money, but I might need to get some because I think I would really like them. So if you have any needle suggestions for needles that come in a 2.25mm size and they are sharp and they have good joins, please do let me know. And also, I have been wondering, how are the knit zings? Because I have the DPNs, but I've not tried the circulars. Do they have good joins? If you do know, let me know. So that's it for my works in progress that you have seen before. Actually, no, I will show you my sock yarn blanket next because I've worked a little bit on that. And this will be awkward to show because I'm in the middle of a square. But this is my sock yarn blanket. And this week I've added 3 1/4 squares, I guess. So I've added this one, which was an Opal Mini. And I really like this color. This one was from the socks that I knit for my sisters from the Opal Surprise. It's the Opal Glitter Base in the cupcake colorway, I think. Now I'm all confused. This one was another Opal Mini, and so is this one, which I'm knitting on at the moment. And funnily enough, this is exactly the same ball that I used for this one. So you can see it changes quite a bit, which is why I am using the same yarn for 2 squares. And my blanket I'm knitting on size 0 needles on over 49 stitches. So now I move on to my most exciting project. And quick sewing in between. This is the sewing that I've done this week. So last night you can see a crinkle in the fabric, sorry. I have sewn another bag. And this was a fabric that I got in November from the fair that I went to, and I bought this because my sister said she would make me a project bag. So I bought it and gave the fabric to her together with a zip, but unfortunately I never got a project bag. So I just reclaimed that and said, if you don't make it for me, I'll make it myself. And I made myself a project bag out of it with a pink zipper. And I just used this linen fabric for the inside. And I do realize that using black thread wasn't the greatest idea, but honestly I just couldn't be bothered to change it. So I sewed this last night and I was very impatient because I was hungry, but I really wanted to sew something, and honestly I made a bit of a mess. I just felt like, oh, it'll be fine, and I didn't measure that well, and I didn't work as precisely as you should when you're sewing. I just figured, oh, it'll be fine. Like, for example, I did the box bottom, and so you can even see. And I didn't even measure it, I just sewed straight through. So it worked out, but I did kind of mess up my zipper here, which you can see, and it's kind of embarrassing because honestly I'm not a great sewist, but I have sewn quite a few bags. So I should know how to do this, but it serves me right because I was very impatient. But this bag is exactly the size that I wanted it to be for this project. I'm really scared to take it out because you can fit 200 gram skeins of yarn in here, no problem. So these are 200 gram skeins, and this is lace weight yarn from Das Mocha. Let me see, I have the tag here. It says lace yarn merino silk 50% merino, 50% silk, 700 meters per 100 grams, and this is her logo. And yes, I'm covering the price, but I got this on a sale a few weeks back when she offered packages of her luxury yarns, so you could just get them in a package, you couldn't get one skein. And she had this set for 200 grams of lace weight, so 1400 meters, 50% off. So that's why I grabbed that one. I don't know the colorway number or name, sorry about that. But I think it might be going out of stock anyways, but it is 50% merino, 50% silk. You can see, you can fit the yarn in here and the bag is pretty much still empty, which is exactly what I wanted. And this project I'm just so excited about, I don't even want to show it to you guys. Let me prepare so you get the ultimate experience. This is my Evenstar shawl. So I'm not sure if you guys share my excitement about this, but this is a project that I've been wanting to knit for ages. It is a circular shawl. I've been wanting to knit a circular shawl. I was torn between this pattern and the Luca shawl by Jared Flood. But this is the Evenstar by Susan Pandorf, and it is a Lord of the Rings related pattern. So here you can see the Evenstar. So it has this star pattern in here, and I'm just making another star section here. And she has a large collection of Lord of the Rings patterns, so it's not only this one, there's a few ones. And I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan anyways, but I thought it was just so beautiful, and as soon as I cast off this shawl, I just couldn't wait to cast on something, and I wanted something lacy, I wanted something challenging. I have been missing knitting with lace yarn, because I love lace yarn and I have quite a large stash of lace yarn, but I never use it. Or I just haven't used it the last few weeks or months because most of the patterns that I like are fingering weight. So I just really wanted to knit something lace weight, and I'm so excited about this. So essentially you start in the middle and you're supposed to use DPNs. You do a circular cast on, which was a new to me technique. And then you knit on DPNs until it's big enough so you can put it onto a circular needle. Well, I didn't want to use DPNs. I didn't have any, and I don't like, I like knitting my sleeves and everything on Magic Loop. So I did the whole thing on Magic Loop. And I think that's what made it hard in the beginning. So I think this is definitely the hardest or most challenging knit that I've ever done. I've never knit something so lacy, and this pattern just goes on into crazier and crazier lace things. But then again, it worked out really, really well. I found it really hard in the beginning, but I think that was mostly because I was knitting it on Magic Loop. Because with Magic Loop, obviously, it tends to be a little scrunched up and you can't really see what you're knitting. Whereas now, you know, I can really read the lace while I'm knitting it, so now it is so much easier. So I knitted on Magic Loop, and then I think around here, I knitted with a traveling loop, so I just made one loop. So that made it possible for me to actually see what I'm knitting and still it fit onto the needle. And now, thankfully, on the 40 centimeter cord, I think this is the 40 centimeter one, now I can just knit in the round. And of course I'm using my interchangeable Knit Pro Novas for this, so I can just switch to a larger cord when I need it. And I am knitting this on 3.5mm needles. You're supposed to use 3.25, but I figured I'd just go up. Because again, I didn't want to buy extra needles, and I love 3.5, and I mean, if I use bigger needle, it'll just be a bigger shawl, and who wouldn't want a bigger shawl? So I think, yeah, that's all I can say about this, but I'm really, really loving it. I found it quite hard in the beginning, but now I'm just breezing through. Last night I literally couldn't stop. Another reason why I went to bed late. This is just so much fun, and I know that it'll take me a while to finish this, but I am just super, super excited about it. And yeah, so this brings me right into the knit-along section, because no, we won't have one knit-along, we will have two knit-alongs, but one of them is informal. So originally my plan was I want to do a crazy color KAL, so a crazy color knit-along, because I think that would be super, super fun. I love colors, everyone loves colors, and I just have this image in my head of a thread full of colorful projects that just, give you instant happiness. And I mean, who doesn't love colors? So this is the big air quote knit-along that I have been meaning to host for a while. And that's why I cast on this project, because I think this color is pretty crazy. It continues to blow out my camera, and it is this sort of neon yellow lime green color, so that definitely is a crazy color for me. But essentially, it is a knit-along for projects that have some kind of crazy color in there. So if you want to knit a black shawl with neon stripes, that still counts. If you want to knit something in one color, that still counts. Essentially, it's pretty much up to you. But of course, I would suggest that you use a color that is either just crazy by itself or at least definitely out of your color scheme. So for me, if I knit a pair of pink socks, that would be really, really crazy for a lot of people, but for me, that's just normal. So I'm trying to go out of my comfort zone and use a color that I don't use all the time. But of course, go crazy with the colors, go crazy with the speckles and the variegated. It doesn't have to be something you don't like. I just think that all of us could need some more color in our life, and right now, at least here in Germany, the weather tends to be kind of dreary and grey, and everything is kind of like meh. So yeah, I think this will just be so much fun. You can double dip as much as you want. You can, I don't know, quadruple dip if you want to. You can use works in progress, but I would really suggest that you use them only if you haven't, if you have at least 50% of the project to go. So I can probably not control that, but if you basically finish with the socks and you just have to add the toes, I don't think that would count. But besides that, literally go crazy, knit as many or as little projects as you want. Of course, I would love it if you knit lots of projects. The KAL will run from March, so from now, essentially, until May 13th. And you might ask, why May 13th? It's my birthday. And since I was thinking, should I run until the end of April? Should I run until the middle of May? I was like, oh, I'll just make it my birthday. And so you have a little over 2 months to go crazy with colors and have fun. And I really, really hope that you are as excited about this idea as I am. Because, as you might notice, I am very excited about this. There will be prizes. I have one prize from All About Yarn on Etsy, which I showed a few weeks back, so that includes a bag and a rainbow mini skein set, so I mean that is perfect, right? But if you are a maker of any sort, if you're a designer, if you are a yarn dyer, bag maker, whatever, and you would want to donate a prize, I mean, I would love that. So no pressure at all, but if anyone wants to donate a prize, just get in touch with me. Probably easiest through Ravelry. My name is Vivi, which you all know. Or you can Instagram me, I guess. And I would, of course, love that. But again, I don't mean to pressure anyone. It's just if you want to give something, you can. If you don't, that's fine. And to everyone else, just let me know if you like this idea. I will probably start threads today. I haven't made my mind up, but I think I will have a chatter and an FO thread, just to keep it fair, because I always like the idea of just having one thread. But then it does kind of get unfair if someone comments on every picture. I mean, that is super nice, but then someone who might not have the time to follow on the thread or something, might have less chances. So I think I will make an FO thread and a chatter thread. So that is the crazy color KAL. I have not checked if there is a hashtag for that, so I'll do that soon. And that's the only KAL that I was planning to host. But I posted a picture of this yesterday. And a lot of you said that you really want to knit this pattern as well. You were quite interested. You were scared of this pattern. So I was like, I mean, it just makes sense to have a informal Evenstar KAL as well. Because I'm scared of this pattern, honestly. You made it sound like I was being brave. Honestly, I'm scared. But I think it's totally doable. I think you just need lots of patience and you just take it one row at a time. And of course, I'm being selfish because I would really, really love for you guys to join me and not be doing this alone, and we can cheer each other on, we can help each other out, which I think might be useful. So yeah, I decided to host another KAL for the Evenstar pattern, and this will just be informal, so I don't think there will be prizes. I will just have one thread and we can talk about it. You can talk about your yarn choices, about problems that you have, or just post pictures of progress, because with a project like this, I think even if you just knit a few rounds, that's huge. So feel free to join me there as well. I know at least one and two, no, I already know 2 people who are committed, and I am planning to enable all of you to start knitting a Evenstar shawl, of course, because I think that would be so much fun, and it's nice to challenge ourselves every now and then. I'm definitely enjoying it, so yeah, also please join that. And of course, if you knit an Evenstar shawl in a crazy color, by all means, double dip. Going back to the Crazy Color KAL for 1 second, if you do knit my pattern, which is the Crazy Days shawl, and that's a pattern where you could easily just, do the stripes in a crazy color, and that would totally work, you get 2 entries. So you just post your finished object twice. So yeah, we didn't have a knit along for a long time, and now we have 2. I hope you guys are as thrilled as I am. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. So again, the Crazy Color KAL runs until May 13th, and the Evenstar just runs as long as we take to knit it, I think. No pressure there. So let me put my knitting into my bag. And I think that's it for knitting. And I will move on to spinning. So last week I told you that I lost my spinning mojo. Well, it came back. Sorry, I'm just turning on the heat. So last week I was spinning on my Echoed BFL sock yarn. And I did finish it and I did ply it. And it looks like this. Why the air quotes? Well, it is so strange. I spun this really thin and I did a chain ply, so that means that I 3-plied this yarn. Whereas my last sock yarn that I spun was a 2-ply. Really quick, the fiber was by All About Yarn, 100% BFL in the pink boat on the lake colorway. So anyways, I finished this and I noticed while applying it that it might be a little bit thicker than my last sock yarn that I spun, but that's fine because that was too thin anyways. And then I wound it and measured it, and I found out that I only have 240 meters of this, which is just so strange. I honestly don't know what happened. I mean, I realize that it is thinner than usual, but even like if you take that, multiply that by 3, you realize how many singles I had, and already the yardage of my singles seems wrong. Like, even if I had 2-plied this would have been too thick for a fingering weight. So I am just so puzzled about this. I don't know what happened, but I kind of accepted that it's not a fingering weight. It could still be socks, but it might not be. But then last night a friend suggested that I measure the wraps per inch, and I have 16 wraps per inch, which is definitely a fingering weight. It's, I think, even a light fingering weight. So I am just so confused about this yarn. Honestly, I don't know what happened here. So spinners, do you have answers for me? I'm really sure that I measured it correctly. Like, I did recount it because it seemed wrong. I thought maybe, you know, I just have, you know, I just forgot to count or whatever, but I counted it right. It is pretty thick and thin, so maybe it just is that way. Is it the BFL? I've never spun BFL sock yarn, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. So if it makes sense to any of you guys, please do let me know. Having said that, I don't really know what to do with this yet, because it is a gorgeous yarn and I could just use it for something else, but I had really wanted it to be a sock, so I was quite disappointed, and I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I love the colors, and as you can see, because it is a chain ply, there is no barber pulling, so it has quite long repeats of the blue and then the pink, so that's why I thought, you know, if you would knit socks out of this, this would be like stripy socks, and this would be awesome. But now I just kind of don't know what I'll do with it. So yeah, big mystery. How can it be 16 wraps per inch, but then only 240 meters in 100 grams? If you have any ideas, please do let me know, because I don't really know what's going on with that. But I did really still enjoy it. I'm spinning this. I love all about yarn fiber, because it just drafts like a dream. I love the colors. And yeah. So after this project, I wanted to do something different. Just change it up a little. And I'd shown you last week the singles mini that I spun up, and I decided to spin up a full braid of, and I decided to spin up a full 100 grams of singles. And what I used were some bats that I had from Sarah's Texture Crafts. So this is her logo. She had these bats, I had 2 of them, so I had 100 grams of her hand-cutted bats in the colorway Purple Tone, and I chose the Merino and Sparkle base. And this is the yarn that I spun up. So you can see it has sparkle, and it is showing up a bit too blue, which seems to be the case for any purples. All purples always tend to show up blue in this green. But it is definitely very purple. Maybe you can see it like this. And I really like it. I got 370 meters, I think. And again, I say I think because I measured it correctly this time. But then I was so busy because with, you know, washing it, because when you wash singles, you do the whole, you have a tub of hot water and a tub of cold water, and you go back and forth because you want to felt the singles a little bit. And I was so busy with that I never wrote down the amount of wraps that I measured. So this morning I just kind of, I'm relatively sure it was at least 253 wraps, which with me turns into 370 meters. So again, I'm not 100% sure, but this one definitely has a lot of meterage. And it's still a little bit wet. You can see it is nicely balanced, which I'm quite proud of, if I may say so myself. And so yeah, I spun this into singles, and it's really funny for me because lots of beginner spinners, they spin singles and they don't ply the yarns. Whereas really, honestly, plying is the easy part. Spinning singles is hard, because when you ply something, it'll become balanced and it'll even out all the things that you did wrong, whereas with if you spin singles, you need to spin with less twist. And for me, that is really hard. I find it really hard to spin no twist singles, because you need them to have enough twist that when you wind them off, they don't come apart. But I think that's generally it. I'm not a pro at this, but I think that is just the amount of twist. You just want it to not fall apart, but that's the maximum that you want to put in, because then you kind of felt it and it becomes stronger anyways. But if you put too much twist in while spinning it, even with the whole hot and cold bath thing, it won't remove all of the kinks, and it will just become twisted. So anyways, I'm really enjoying this process of spinning singles. I do find it quite difficult because for me, I have this standard method of spinning, and with this I just really need to slow down, I need to change my technique, I need to focus. But I had a lot of fun, and I thought it was really fun to spin singles from a bat. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that. And the way I spun this is I spun it in a short forward draw, but I let lots of air in. So I guess I spun it almost semi-bullen, so this definitely has air everywhere, but then I did kind of flatten the fibers when I drew back, because I didn't want it to be a full woolen. Sorry about that. I was saying this is really, really soft, it's really cuddly, and I think this will make a fantastic cowl or hat or something. Not my typical yarn, but I really enjoyed it. So that's it for spinning. Yesterday I started a new spin, but I won't show it to you because I haven't done very much. But I am doing another sock yarn spin because I just really want to perfect it, and I really want to have a 3-ply sock yarn. After the last experience I was kind of scared and thinking about just saying, oh well, I'll just spin 2-ply sock yarn, but I really just want a chain-ply sock yarn because I think that would be so much more fun with the colors. And I'm using this. This used to be a braid, but I just broke it down into strips and rolled it up. And I have 2 of these balls that I just prepared so it's easy to spin. And this fiber is by Fondant Fiber. And my phone rang, which usually I wouldn't tell you about, but this was really important and quite exciting, so that's why I answered it. Anyways, I was saying I'm spinning this for a 3-ply sock yarn, and I'm hoping that this time I will get proper yardage, but I'm spinning it crazy thin, honestly. Even for me, this is crazy thin. So I hope this will work, and otherwise I'll have a crazy nice ball to play with. So that leads me right into the question that a lovely viewer asked. And she asked me about measuring the yardage of yarn because she is too lazy to measure it again after she has washed the finished yarn. And honestly, sorry, I'm the same way. So I measure the yardage or the meterage of my handspun right after I finish spinning it. So I wind it off the spinning wheel, measure the yarn, then I wash it, and then I just leave it. I do realize that the yardage changes with washing, but then again, I feel like for the purposes that I do, it's fine because generally I don't. If I spin for a specific project where I think 10 or 15 meters difference might be really, really important, I will rewind it and remeasure it. But for the things that I do at the moment, it's just not that important, I think. And I actually don't measure my yarn on a twist or a niddy noddy. I do on a twist, on a Swift. I do have a Swift, but I have one of these plasticky green cheap Swifts, which is great for winding yarns into cakes. But if you wind something onto the Swift, the diameter will change. It will start to kind of become smaller, so you won't get a good skein. Sometimes I still do that with yarns that just need to be reskeined, but I wouldn't dare to use that for measuring yardage because I feel like I would start with a, I don't know, 1.5 meter circumference and then end with a 1.3 meter circumference, which just doesn't make any sense. So I actually do this the old-fashioned way. So I take my chair, turn it upside down on my table, and I wind the yarn around the 3 legs of the chair, which I know is very last century of me, but it works really well. It takes a little bit longer, of course, than if I had a Swift, but I'm not going to buy a Swift right now. And the good thing with the chair is that the chair legs won't move, so even if I've put 200 grams of yarn on, it won't become smaller. It will always have the same circumference, which of course by now I know. So that's how I wind my yarn. So theoretically, of course, if you have 2 Swifts, or if you have a Swift in a chair, you could, after washing, just put your skein, your dry skein obviously, on the Swift and then just rewind. I could just rewind it around the chair. So that's how I would do it, but of course I realized that this is not a great technique. I don't have any great tips for you there, but maybe someone else does. How do you, professional spinners, how do you measure your yarn? Do you just do the whole nitty-notty thing twice? Because it would be quite interesting to measure your yarn before and after washing. For me personally, I do at some point in my future see a better Swift, because mine is quite terrible, and I'm not honestly sure how long it will still work. So I would really like to get one of those nice wooden Swifts, which I think don't have the problem of disassembling themselves. And then I could use the old one to reskein. Like I could, put the finished skein onto my old Swift and then wind onto my new Swift and remeasure the yarn after washing super easily. So I think that's something that might happen one day, but right now that's really far away. So I'm really sorry. I feel like you guys are asking questions and I'm not very good at answering them, but I can only tell you what I do. And the short answer is I'm lazy. I don't measure my yarn after I've washed it. I'm not sure if this is a big spinning no-no, and now I'm being looked upon shamefully by the whole spinning community, but I don't think so, and I always feel like whatever works, works. Talking about spinning, again, I have a birthday coming up, and I don't even know how, I think, yeah, the other day I was still in bed in the morning, and suddenly this idea popped into my head, like, what if I got a blending board? And ever since then, I have just been really, really excited about this idea of having a blending board and making my own Rolex and, basically doing fiber prep for exactly the fiber that I want to. Because a drum cutter is nice, but out of my range right now. And then I know that some people like to get a hackle and a diz, but I think that's what you use to produce is those like not fuzzling, like fiber nest sort of thing. I don't really like spinning from them. So I think I would love to have Rolex. So I decided that I will ask for a blending board from my family for my birthday, which is in 2 months. And I have looked at some online, and there are big price differences. So of course, if you get the Ashford one, which is the only brand one that I found that is accessible here in Germany, that is the most expensive option. But there are also some random German crafty people, I guess, that make these blending boards. The thing is that I don't have any idea about that. I don't know if it's safer to just buy the Ashford, because then at least you have a certain quality, because I wouldn't be able to tell what's a good blending board and what is a bad blending board. I don't really have any idea about that, and I didn't really find too much info about that too. So question to you guys, especially if you're in Germany or Europe, do you have any suggestions? Is there anything that I should look out for in a blending board? Is there anything like really, really important? Or do you maybe even have a blending board which you would recommend? Because I think I would rather spend a little bit more money and be on the safe side than buy something that is okay quality, but then in a year I'll want to have a better one. So my price range right now is around 100 euros, but I don't know, as long as it's not like triple the price. I just really want a good blending board. So guys, please do let me know any ideas and tips and anything you have, because that's something that I'm definitely looking into, and I think it would be the most awesome birthday present ever. So now I will move on to acquisitions. And I have a lot of acquisitions again, but the good news, I guess, is that pretty much all of it is all gifts and swaps, because I have just been treated. So I don't have to feel bad about it. So let me just rearrange. The first thing that I'll show you is a swap package that I swapped with Jenny, who is all about yarn. She has a podcast with that name, and she has an Etsy store with that name, which I mention all the time. And I was watching an episode in which she did lots of mini swaps, and I was like, do you want to do a mini swap? like right now. And I think we figured the entire swap thing out within 24 hours. We both had sent our packages off. So it was going to be a mini skein swap, but then I said I have some German indie dyed yarns in my stash. Would you want to trade me for one? So I gave her one of my. Oh, that sounds weird. I gave her one skein, and she sent me one full skein in return. So I show you that skein first, and this is Lauber. Lauber is a UK brand that I have been looking at for a while but could never get my hands on. And this is the Bounce Base hand dyed 100% BFL sock yarn, 319 meters, hand wash only, in the Little Red Rooster colorway. So I think this is just super fun. I kind of feel like it's too nice to be socks, but then I really want it to be socks. So I mean, why wouldn't I just treat my feet and make a really, really nice pair of socks out of this? I know that lots of knitters don't really want to put expensive yarn into socks, and to some extent I agree. Like, I don't know, Malabrigo sock, Madeline Tosh sock. I feel like I would just feel bad having that on my feet. But then again, so I'm like, this is just such fun colors. And I don't really know if I want a shawl in those kind of colors because I'm not sure. But on my feet it would look awesome, and I love socks, so why wouldn't I just make socks? So yeah, I'm undecided about this, but this is super, super fun. And yeah, she offered me a few skeins, and I just picked the one that looked like the most colorful and fun to knit. So that's the first thing that I got from her, and I thought it was really, really awesome. And then I got a lot of minis, and you guys wouldn't believe how hard it was for me to not use them. I have not used a single one. So this one I'm really excited about because it's the West Yorkshire Spinners Hollyberry, and I've never had any West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but I'm just so excited to feel it. So because so many people have been talking about it, now I can feel it and try it for myself, and yeah, I love it. This one is by Sunset Stitches, The Lake. I'll just show you the labeled ones. This is another Lauber. Jenny apparently really likes Lauber, which I think is awesome. It's also BFL base. There is another Lauber BFL here, this one. And I think all the other ones might be her own yarns. So at least that's what I assume. So I got these three. I got a glitter one, which looks awesome. I love this one. I think I need a skein of this one. I absolutely love it. And then I got these two, which look great. And a crazy rainbow one. I also really like this one because it has like pink and green. It's almost a red pink. And these two. So I have a bouquet of mini skeins, and I love mini skeins, and yeah, I'm in mini skein heaven. And honestly, it was so hard not to use them, but today I can put them in my blanket. And then she completely surprised me and also sent me a set of her stitch markers, which she still sells in her Etsy store. So yeah, this is going to be difficult. So it's these star ones with a pearl and a star. And then look at this one, it's amazing. Oops, sorry about that. Can you see it is a knitted sweater that still has the knitting needles in it. I think this is so awesome, and I love these, and yeah. I got this when I had a really bad day, and this just made me really happy. So thank you so much, Jenny, for swapping with me. And I always love doing swaps where you actually use stash, or like just trade your stash, because it feels like I'm getting new yarn, but at the same time my stash doesn't grow, so that's good. Then the next thing I got was another gift, and this is from my lovely friend G. And we had the worst luck in shipping that you could possibly imagine. She sent me a package in November and it never arrived, and it had a prize for the podcast, it had a giveaway prize that I had won, it had so many things that she put so much time into making, and of course lovely yarn, and it got lost in the mail. So awesome as she is, she made another big package. I think it was like 2 or 3 kilos, which is insane. And she actually re-sewed all of the bags. And I can't believe, like, she put so much work into recreating it. And it seems like it is lost again. I mean, how is that even possible? I think she sent that in January and now it's March. And it was I had like a date when it was supposed to be here and it just never arrived. And it's just so sad and I feel so terrible for her. I mean, I have so much stuff. It's not like it hurts me, but I know how much work she put into it, and now she feels really bad, which I don't understand because it's not her fault. But anyways, she felt like she needed to gift me something because she felt so bad about it, which is terrible. Anyways, but she just picked the most amazing fiber for me, and that is not terrible, of course. And she knows that if she told me in advance, I would have tried to stop her, so she didn't even tell me until she bought it. And this is fiber from Elfenwolle, which is a German indie dye of fiber, which I have been stalking for a long time. I have been looking at her store. I actually have already made a cart full of fiber from her, but I never ordered it. And she got herself and me some fiber to spin. And look at this. Oh, it's blowing out a bit. I guess the other side is a little bit darker anyways. This is a merino nylon braid because I always say that I want to spin 4 socks. So it's 67% merino, superwash, 33% nylon. And the colorway is Ice Palace, which means Ice Palace. And this is just perfect. I mean, with G, I know I don't even have to say anything. If she picks something that she thinks I like, I will totally like it. Because she knows me really well. So she just gifted me this and it arrived on Saturday night. Again, I had a bit of a stressful day. My week seemed to be full of those days. And I'm just so happy. I really had to push myself to not spin this right away. So that's why I started to spin the fawn fiber first, but this has to be on my reel really soon because it is just gorgeous. But again, with this one, it would be perfect if I perfected my chain ply sock yarn first so I can preserve all these colors, because I think it wouldn't look so nice if I two plied this. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. And then this is kind of already moving into life, but I'm trying to keep it separate. When I was at home in my hometown, my sister's boyfriend and I went to a yarn store that had opened. I think it's been open for a year, but I never managed to go. And it was a bit of a weird yarn store, if I might say so. It was more like a factory sale sort of place in the way that it wasn't very nice. But she had some okay yarn. I was actually just hoping, I wasn't expecting too much, but I was hoping for a good selection of sock yarn, like just commercial Regia sort of things. But her selection was pretty small. She had, I think, 2 opal colorways, a few Regia, and that was about it. But she had this yarn, which is actually quite fancy yarn. I was surprised that she had it. This is Ferner Sockenwolle and Ferner Wolle, which I thought originally was a German yarn, but it turns out it is an Austrian yarn. And everyone in Germany seems to go crazy about this, but no podcaster talks about it. Maybe it's older people who like this. Anyways, this was hanging out there, and it wasn't rescanned. It was actually just hanging like loosely, which I don't like, which is why I rescanned it. But I kind of showed it to my boyfriend, was like, oh, wouldn't that be something for you, as a joke? Because my boyfriend only likes gray and black and gray. And maybe black. And that's as far as his color selection goes. So I thought this was a good joke. And my sisters laughed. And my boyfriend was like, oh, I like that. And I was like, are you serious? Do you really want socks in this crazy green-yellow color? which I think isn't coming out as crazy as it is on the camera, by the way. And he totally wanted it. I was like, I don't believe you. I don't think you ever wear these socks. Because I mean, I love it when my boyfriend likes yarn. I even more love it when he likes nice yarn. But I just couldn't believe it. And he's like, no, I get it. And I was like, really? So he asked for the price, and this is probably the priciest sock yarn I've ever seen or bought. I mean, I know that you can spend lots of money on yarn, but this is definitely in the top price range. So I thought when she told him the price that he would turn around and not get it. He's like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, no, you can't spend that much money on socks. I mean, like, I do that, but sometimes. But I love my socks. You don't even wear your socks. But he totally needed to have this yarn, so he bought it. So he bought it for me to knit some socks for him, obviously. And because he is a man, he wants them basically finished yesterday, but he wants me to, like, basically the entire weekend. He's like, are you knitting on my socks yet? No. I have to actually finish some stuff first. But yeah, he is crazy excited about this. He actually, yesterday, he was hanging out with his yarn baby and holding it like this and talking to it, which was adorable. But yeah, I guess you're not interested in that. Sorry, that was a long story about this yarn, but I just thought it was so funny. I like how men sometimes can be so unpredictable. So this is Fernerwolle, and I think it's Austrian, but it will still qualify to go on my list, I guess. Sommernachtsreigen, which I assume is one of their lines, and it's colorway 7. Very creative. It has 420 meters per 100 grams. It is 75% virgin wool superwash, 25% polyamide. It feels like a high twist, or relatively high twist base. It feels like a really nice base. It says the needles that you should use is 3 to 3.5 millimeter, which seems wrong because it's clearly just a normal fingering weight. So I will just use this with regular needles, and I actually am quite excited to knit this now. I think this will be really fun. Definitely not my colors, but yeah, it'll be fun, and my boyfriend bought it for me, so that was really nice. But also weird because he bought the fancy stuff at the yarn store and I bought the cheap stuff. So what I got was this skein of mystery yarn. This is the only label that it has that says sock yarn, 420 meters per 100 grams, 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. So there is no brand, which is super strange. It was really cheap. But I thought the color looks really nice. It's kind of this fuchsia sort of color. And I mean, I really like it. It's really soft. It has a bit of a halo going on. I'm not sure if you can you see that? It definitely has a halo, but I mean, for like $5, I'm not gonna complain. The only other thing that I got at that yarn store, well, they had yarn, they had a little bit of sewing stuff, and then they had bed sheets and like bedding and stuff, which was weird. But anyways, she had some sales on fat quarters, and I got this one. How cute is that? With the little birdies. I got 2 of them, and these are 50 by 52 centimeters. And I got both of them for $2.50. So this was a crazy good deal, and it was really cute, and I love these birdies. I feel like there's not that many more project bags that I can make because there's only that many that you need, but this is just so cute. I think I really want this to be a project bag. So yeah, that's all I got. So yeah, like I said, it was really weird to go out of a yarn store and my boyfriend spending big bucks and me spending close to nothing. But yeah, that's what happened, and that's it for all of my acquisitions. Before I go into life in general, a very quick reminder, we have a coupon code for OMG Yarn and Fiber, which is the yarn store in Portugal by my lovely friend G. So it's called OMG Yarn and Fiber.etsy.com, and I will link it in the show notes because it turns out I'm really bad at advertising shops and remembering to tell you about coupon codes. But anyways, she has a coupon code for us. So if you put in the code Happy Knitting, all capital letters, you get 15% off your entire order until March 31st. So I encourage you to go over to her store and check it out. I have made use of her coupon code and I have ordered something and I can't wait to get it. So that's it for coupon codes. That was quick. And I will move on to life in general, so if you're not interested in that, that's totally fine. I don't mind. I understand that sometimes you don't have the time to listen to everyone ramble about their personal life. That's fine. So if you do leave us now, you can join the Ravelry group which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group. And that's where you can find the show notes and the group's the threads for our knit-alongs. You can find me on Ravelry as Wipfi, which is WUEPFI. So if you ever need to contact me, want to contact me, you can do that through that. And my Instagram is the Happy Knitting Podcast. So if you do want to stick around, I will quickly just talk about life. So last week I mentioned that I was about to start my thesis, my master's thesis. So I am doing my master's, which I think in the States is postgraduate studies. I think so. Anyways, I don't get that system. I'm doing my master's in psychology. And all I need to do to graduate is to write my thesis. I almost just put in some swear words there because I really don't want to write it. Because I'm not sure if I ever talked about it that much, but I am a psychologist who I just want to work with people, I want to work with children, I want to do counseling, I want to do the classical psychology thing. Well, I study psychology at a uni that is very highly ranked and very, very focused on empirical studies and, research, which is, of course, really important. So I totally agree with that. But yeah, so I have to write my thesis, which will take me about half a year, in which I have to do a study and then analyze and then write my thesis. And while I don't mind doing that, it's just not one of my favorite things to do. I'd much rather spend another half a year learning about things and working with people and, getting as much knowledge that I will use for my job as possible. So that's just why I'm not super thrilled about writing my thesis, but I do like some aspects of it. I do like writing. I do love statistics, which is super weird of me, I know. So I think I just have to get into the swing of things. So I had my first meeting last week. I have another one today. Yeah, I still have some time. I was just worried that I missed it. And essentially I am in the stage of finding and narrowing down what I will do. So he gave me a selection of topics that he's working on and that I could also work on with him. And I'm just in the process of figuring that out. And I think once I actually get started, it'll be a lot easier for me because I do really well when I have something concrete to do. But at the moment, it's a stage of, well, just think about it and maybe do some research and just think about it some more. And I don't know. I'd rather have a set task and then I can do that. Anyways, you probably all didn't really want to know that. For those of you who are interested, I will let you know my topic once that is set in stone, because it isn't so far. But anyways, that meant that I had that meeting on Monday. Actually, before that meeting, there was a major incident, which I don't want to go into too much detail. But essentially, my boyfriend was away for the day. And there was an incident with a pigeon being trapped on the balcony next to ours. Not ours, thank God. And that neighbor not opening the door, and then people were complaining, and some crazy animal saver was threatening to call the police, and then the lady from the council came, and the animal savers came, and my tenants or landlords came, and because my neighbor wasn't opening his door, they were all in my apartment. And I don't know my landlords very much at all. And I didn't really know what was going on because my boyfriend is the one who rented this apartment long before I even existed in his life. And I think I spent about 4 hours dealing with that stuff that was ultimately not really some problem that we had, but problems that our neighbors had, that our landlords had. and they were running through my apartment and screaming and fighting. It was ridiculous, and that was quite stressful. But it is, I think, sorted out. And honestly, in the end, I am just so glad that they're moving soon, because there's just so much negativity and stress. And I mean, I don't know, it was just very unnecessary, and people were transferring their anger onto me. And yeah, it was quite stressful. But anyways, that happened, the master thesis happened, and the rest of the week was relatively chilled out, besides that I sometimes get migraines, mostly to do with stress, so that happened, which wasn't that great. So I think on Monday I went to bed at like 8 o'clock and slept until 10 o'clock the next day, and then I was okay. And I've been working quite a bit. I've been knitting like a maniac on my test knit. And then on Friday we drove down to my hometown, which is Rothenburg ob der Tauber. In case you're from Germany, you might have heard of that, because actually, even if you have been to Germany as a tourist, because it is a town that is really old, and it is like they have an old town center which kind of still looks like from the Middle Ages, and they try really hard to keep it that way, which means that it's a big tourist attraction. Anyways, we went down there obviously not to look at the town, but to visit my family, and had some good times with my sisters. We visited my grandparents, who always just get super excited when we come by, because I don't see them that often. And what else did we do? We just ate a lot of food. Went to the yarn store, as I said. Both of my sisters are now knitting socks, which I thought was quite fun. And then we drove back here, and a lovely viewer actually suggested that there was a yarn festival going on about 2 hours from here, and I would have loved to go, but honestly it was just too much. We didn't really have the time, and I needed to do some work. And then yesterday, so on the Sunday, we spent half the day together, but then my boyfriend drove down to another city because he had his last round of job interviews for a job that he really wants, and I really want him to get as well, this morning. And that's why the phone rang before, and I answered, because he had finished his job interview, and I think it went really well. So he was in the last round. They have, of course, quite a few interviews still in the last round, but I think in 2 weeks he will find out whether he got the job or not. And that would just be beyond fantastic, because it is in a city that we both like to move to. It's in a city where I think I'd like to live, where I think I would have good chances job-wise. I don't really want to tell you guys too much about it yet, because it is far from being final. I mean, yeah, but that was good news. And because he was away last night, I did a big knitcation, I guess, and I actually sewed until like 8:30 at night, and I had really late dinner, and then spent time reading and knitting, and it was really fun. So now I really should be working, but instead I'm recording a podcast. But I think I have rambled on for long enough. I really hope I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, I always have this sort of weird insecurity in the end, because I know I'm forgetting something, but I don't know, it's just the way it always is. Like, as soon as I upload, or as soon as I hit the stage where I can't edit anything anymore because it's uploading onto YouTube, I remember all the things that I wanted to say. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to me and talking to me and watching my podcast and coming back every week. I love talking to you guys. I love chatting to you guys through Instagram and Ravelry. I hope that you would want to join my knit-alongs, or our knit-alongs, the crazy Color KAL, the informal Evenstar KAL. And I think that's it. So I hope you guys have a great week. Have lots of time for knitting and spinning, and maybe I managed to enable you to buy some yarn, because that's always fun, right? Anyways,